We got there. Hi everyone, my name is Laura Peachy-Burgess. I'm a Master of Philosophy student here. My study is titled Fruitful Engagement, Framing the Value of Imperfect Produce. So food waste is a global issue that has significant economic, environmental and social consequences, with food waste minimisation included in the UN Sustainability Development Goals of 2030. Between 30 to 50% of all food produced is wasted from production and farming to consumer disposal. The latest national baseline in the 2016-17 financial year estimated that supermarkets produced over 200,000 tonnes of food waste, leading to multi-million-dollar losses across the sector. A key contributor towards this food waste is that large volumes of fresh produce with aesthetic defects are rejected by supermarkets, guided by consumers' hesitancy to accept products that look less than perfect, demonstrating that engagement in this behaviour is low. Current research also suggests that consumers do not consider disregarding imperfect food at the supermarket as a behaviour that leads to an increase in food waste. Yet for those consumers who do purchase this produce, it is not understood what value they receive through this behaviour. The managerial problem that is central to this research is the increasing levels of food waste produced in the retail environment that leads to negative environmental impacts and significant financial losses for supermarkets, independent grocers and suppliers across the supply chain. So for the purpose of this study, imperfect produce is defined as fruit and vegetables that deviate from normal appearance based on their shape, size or aesthetic imperfections. The research intends to examine the value customers experience through the purchase of imperfect produce. The relationship between customer value propositions, message framing, and customer engagement will be investigated to promote engagement in this environmentally and socially conscious behaviour. Customer value propositions are used to define value customers receive through the purchase of imperfect produce. So for the purpose of this study, the customer value proposition definition developed by Payne et al. In 2017 is used, which is a strategic tool facilitating communication of an organisation's ability to share resources and offer a superior value package to targeted customers. Message framing allows supermarkets to deliver the customer value proposition in a way that positively influences the receiver's perceptions of imperfect produce. And customer engagement, either positive or negative, measures the success of customer value propositions and framing on the purchase of the imperfect produce. Recent research by Narvanan et al. In 2019 examines framing customer value propositions in the circular economy. 4 food waste frames, thrift, innovation, normalisation and salvation, emerged from the data, and embedded within each of these frames is a customer value proposition. The thrift frame delivers value to customers through the prospect of financial optimisation. The innovation frame aims to influence customers by providing the opportunity to engage with new technologies and innovations with the intention of creating positive change. The normalisation frame provides familiar and comfortable experiences for customers. And finally, through the salvation frame, the value of the food is emphasised. The embedded customer value proposition for this frame is participating in environmentally and socially conscious behaviour. Consumers observe value differently, weighing up potential positive and negative outcomes of purchase, suggesting that these frames can be applied to develop CVPs specific to the retail context. Customer engagement is a psychological process building on conventional customer satisfaction and service quality measures to provide greater understanding of the antecedents of loyal and engaged customers. The effects of the frame CVPs on affective, behavioural and cognitive dimensions of both positive and negative engagement are explored in this study. Non-engagement and customer disengagement were out of scope. So the research intends to answer the following 2 research questions. What is the relationship between the frame CVPs and customer engagement in the purchase of imperfect produce? And under what conditions does each frame CVP increase positive customer engagement over negative customer engagement? So by design, a customer value proposition is intended to deliver value to a customer. Therefore, hypothesis 1 proposes that all CVPs will increase positive customer engagement compared to negative customer engagement. But customer value propositions are also intended to be targeted to a specific consumer group. So this is addressed through research question 2, from which the following 4 hypotheses are proposed. So the thrift, innovation and normalisation customer value proposition will increase positive customer engagement compared to negative customer engagement when an egoistic value orientation is high. And the salvation customer value proposition will increase positive customer engagement compared to negative customer engagement when a biospheric or altruistic value orientation is high. So the study takes an experimental design to assess the relationship between the framed CVPs and customer engagement, and under what conditions this relationship is strengthened, as moderated by value orientation. A repeated measures experiment was used in which the 4 framed CVPs were manipulated. Data collection was conducted using a survey during which respondents randomly viewed one of 4 of these conditions as a service escape signage, as you can see here. During the survey, participants completed a positive and negative customer engagement scale, which was completed before and after they viewed the signage. So firstly, to address research question 1, a paired samples t-test was performed. It was hypothesised that all CVPs would increase positive customer engagement compared to negative customer engagement. However, this hypothesis was not supported. So the analysis revealed that the thrift CVP had no significant effect on positive or negative customer engagement from time 1 to time 2. The remaining 3 CVPs did have significant positive effects on the various dimensions of customer engagement. To answer RQ2, a 2-way ANOVA was run. So hypothesis 2A was partially supported, hypothesis 2B and C were not supported, and hypothesis 2D was partially supported. So the results showed that not all CVPs were effective in increasing positive customer engagement. We saw that the thrift CVP had no significant effects across the 3 dimensions of both positive and negative engagement, and only increased positive cognitive engagement when an egoistic value orientation was high. The innovation and normalisation CVP only increased positive behavioural engagement, and value orientation had no effect. Finally, when the biospheric value orientation was high, the salvation CVP significantly increased positive cognitive engagement, and with accounting for value orientations, the salvation CVP increased all 3 dimensions of customer engagement and overall was the most effective CVP. There were also some unhypothesized results, which I don't really have time to go through. However, one of them suggested that although people were more likely to think about negative information pertaining to imperfect produce when viewing the innovation CVP, they were still willing to engage in the behaviour of purchasing the imperfect produce over perfect produce. So the research provides a theoretical contribution by extending the understanding of the outcomes of CVPs, building on the nascent and largely conceptual value proposition literature by examining the relationship between CVPs and customer engagement, as well as how this is moderated by value orientations. Further, this study quantifies the food waste frames and their embedded customer value propositions to provide an understanding of the value that people take from purchasing imperfect produce and how to target them through message framing. The inclusion of value orientations assists to build on the research of Narvan et al. In 2019, whereby each frame is intended to target different consumers. Consequently, the use of these value orientations will provide a deeper understanding of the relationship between the frames and CVP and customer engagement. And finally, the study expands the current research in negative customer engagement through the integration of this construct with CVPs, as well as utilising a recently developed negative customer engagement scale. Research in negative customer engagement is only emerging, with current research typically focusing on the positively valenced engagement. And practically, the study operationalises the CVPs to provide an understanding of how consumer behaviour can be modified for food waste prevention through enhancing engagement with imperfect produce. That's it. Thank you.